Hello! We're going to talk about Garuda. I've been playing around with Garuda a fair bit recently. I got kind of bored with running some of the other Warframes that I was just spamming over and over. You've probably seen that I've been using Lavos a lot in previous videos and Wisp, and I thought, there are other frames that can do interesting things. So we're going to play Garuda just a little bit. First things first, if you notice, we have Gloom on here. Gloom is a very standard Helminth swap for the Blood Fountain uh, normal ability that she's got. Uh, there's no real surprises here if you're you've seen other videos from other people. It's a Sevgoth ability. It goes on a number of Warframes very, very well. The specific build for Garuda is going to be pretty. I don't want to say it's set, but it's one of those where there's certain priorities that make a lot more sense than others. Efficiency is just not necessary. There's no reason to build efficiency. No reason to really tank efficiency either. There's no reason to build it because bloodletting exists, right? So the fact that we can drain 50% of our base health to get 40% energy means that if you slap Prime Flow in there and you've got 800 energy, every time you hit 3, you get 360 energy back, which is enough to fuel a ton of things. And then Gloom will allow you to heal yourself without using any sort of grace or anything like that. So those two abilities in combination with each other with high strength and especially a high range like we're building with Augur Reach and Stretch here allows us the ability to free up our arcane slots for kind of whatever. We've put Arcane Avenger in there for more damage. We put Arcane Guardian in there for absolutely silly levels of armor. If you notice, with a triple Umbral build, we've got 1170 armor, which is almost 80% damage reduction by itself. Once we hit 2000 armor, we have a just absolute crazy amount of armor to pair with adaptation. So we're just not going to take much damage. It's not like Wukong, so we don't have free revives in terms of just the ability to get out of death free, but it's still pretty hard to kill Garuda with that much armor going, especially if you've got Gloom slowing things down and you're self-healing off of all your attacks, especially if you've got Prime Sure-Footed. If you happen to have logged into the game often enough to get that one, you can put that thing in there and then you're never going to fall down, so you can keep being active, keep using those abilities, and stay active with things. Steel Charge here, not necessary except for the fact that it gives us so much capacity. If I put another Umbral mod in here, I could change this out for something else, but I don't think it's necessary. I think she functions just fine with Steel Charge and does kind of encourage you to use one of the other pieces in this, which is, as you know, I like to talk about full kits. So we're going to talk about the weapons. And you notice I don't have a melee weapon equipped, and that's because her Prime Talons are actually just fantastic. And there's two reasons for that. The first is they look super dope. I mean, look at these things. They're sick. She's so angry. Uh, the second thing is that these talons, but in general, claw weapons, have some pretty cool stats and move sets built in. Vermilion Storm is, in my opinion, one of the nicest looking and most fluid feeling move sets for melee weapons, and also comes with a bunch of slash. Also comes with a bunch of AoE spins and things like that, so you can get a lot of targets in there. You can really rip down on a single target, and it's a fairly fast move set. They're also fairly fast base at a 1.0 attack speed. It means that you're not coming from a below 1 starting point. So Prime Fury alone brings you up to 1.55, and that's going to feel really good. It's going to feel fine. If you're one of those that has bound melee to your scroll wheel, yeah, you could add more. And you can get these things going faster. But from a relatively normal gameplay perspective, Steel Path is going to feel just fine with a 1.55, unless you're doing just level 9,999 endurance runs where you're like, yeah, I've got to get 400 slash procs a second. This is fine. Other than that, we're going to do sort of our standard. If you notice a trend here, I tend to do just Toxin on our melee weapons because I've got viral and corrosive covered by my secondary and primary, which Spoiler alert, is the same thing we're doing on this with two different weapons. So we've got Toxin, we got Slash going. The other piece, so the first reason for the Talons being used is that they look cool. The second reason is this right here. That critical chance and status chance are unmodified. If we go to a completely unmodified setup here, still 35, still 36. That is so high. Most weapons, you're going to look at 20% for one of them, maybe 25% for the other, 10% sometimes. And then you're going to have to work really hard to get something up to 100% status or 100% critical chance. Not so with the Prime Talons here. These Prime Talons are on a 5x multiplier of the base 40% you get from Blood Rush and 40% you get from Weeping Wounds. 200% bonus, so 5x multiplier on top of your base. So at 6x, these things are guaranteed crits, guaranteed status, and then you continue to go up from there, right? So once you get up to that 12x multiplier, now all of a sudden you're talking about pretty much guaranteed orange crits, and in this case, because we've got Gladiator Might, actually guaranteed orange crits, and you're guaranteed 2 statuses, which is super, super good. So those things together are going to make these Talons hit hard, kind of regardless, but then they also have just like an absurdly high 448 base damage, which is just a lot, and it's all slash. It's like 90% slash, which is so good. So with that, Prime Fever Strike, you're putting a ton of slash procs, you're putting a ton of toxin procs, you're doing it fast, you're doing it guaranteed per hit. They're just good. They're just good. And that, in combination with the fact that we're using Gloom, will encourage us to continue using our Talons for things, because that's also going to heal us, it's going to keep us alive, and it's going to kill enemies super fast. So at this point, you could kind of say build done. I'm not going to worry about having weapons. But you do have to equip at least one weapon, it turns out. You can't have a build with nothing. But the other thing is that it's not everything in this game is meleeable, right? So there does have to be some consideration for killing things at range. And that's what we're going to use these two weapons for. So I picked these two to diversify our profiles in terms of damage type loadout, but also in terms of single target versus AoE. So we've got single target and AoE kind of within the Talons already at melee range. At range, we want to have single target from our Epitaph. We're using the charged proc on this one. So I've built this one towards doing hemorrhage on the status effect that is guaranteed on that charged blast. So not the quick shot here, but if we're looking at the charged shot, with the boosts that we've got 170% critical chance. With Garuda's, if she's taken any damage, she's got that Arcane Fury going on, or Arcane Avenger going on. And now we got over 200% critical chance. So guaranteed orange crits. We got hemorrhage in there to get some slash procs in there as well. And it's just going to do a boatload of damage with a 9,000 base damage, and then a multiplier of 5.5 or 11 in the case of getting an additional orange crit there. It's just not pretty, right? So it's not actually 11, but either way, what we're talking about is 50, 60, 70,000 damage going in, and it's just gross, right? And then you're also adding a slash proc on top of that, which is going to be a portion of that damage every second. We're doing viral and heat, so we've got our viral status procs happening sometimes with 6% for a charge shot. But if we actually just want to add viral to things, can I introduce you to the quick shot status of 80%, still with a high viral, and also a radius of 8 meters. So you can go boop up, get a couple of viral procs, and then charge and fire that single charge shot to then multiply with that viral stack even more damage if you so choose. We're also using secondary dexterity because the damage is so stinking high on the Epitaph. It doesn't need the help. You'll get the help if you're using your Talons. You're going to have that extra damage kind of stacking up there. But the majority you're using is just to get the combo duration to combine with Naramon to just never lose your stacks on the Talons. So we've got the secondary taken care of. Now we got the primary. Proboscis Cernos is kind of a neat weapon. I just kind of wanted to use it for something. Um, I enjoy doing things that are outside of the exact same build that you always do. And it gave me great joy to not have any crit mods or any hunter munitions on a primary and still have it be good. Um, and it also allows you to put amalgam serration on there without feeling bad, just to get that extra run speed. I like having run speed. I like moving fast. I don't like to have to rely on just jumping everywhere because the parkour moves faster regardless of whether you have a high sprint speed. But I don't want to have to jump everywhere. I think it looks silly. I also think that it just gets tiring on your fingers after a while to have to bullet jump everywhere. So, there you go. Amalgam serration. There's your 10-second rant on that front. But everything else here, we're just doing corrosive. It's got a once again pretty large 7-meter range here. It's going to grab things. It's going to pull them into the center and then explode for a fairly large amount of damage. If you happen to hit something with a base, it's 8,000 damage. But what we're really kind of doing is waiting for that 31,000 damage explosion. Note that we're only going to crit even with Arcane Avenger up there about 50% of the time, and even when we do, it's only doing about 2x damage. So, okay, it only does 60,000 damage, but because we've got corrosive, because we've got heat, we've melted a lot of armor, which means we're more likely to do closer to that actual amount of damage, as well as getting status procs all over the place with 120% status chance. So this is really more about quick melts of armor, get a couple of heat stacks on there, and then just do raw damage to knock those health bars out. Primary Merciless is actually only existing here for one very specific reason, and that's the ammo maximum. The Proboscis Cernos has a just dismal rate of max ammo. So multiplying that by 2 and then having vigilante supplies in here to just give us ammo back even when it's not supposed to be for the weapon is what's going to allow us to actually continuously fire this weapon. Otherwise, you just run out of ammo within the first 5 or 6 shots, and then you just have to wait until you get some more sniper ammo. Then you can do it some more. This way, whatever drops, whatever you kill, you can grab some more, keep doing it. And then in between there, if you do manage to run out somehow because you just haven't killed things, you can use the epitaph or you can go to your talons. And that's Garuda. Again, 2 and 3 just to get her energy economy and health economy to just be pretty much topped off all the time. And then Dreadmere and Seeking Talons are a well-known and documented combo for putting a bunch of slash, getting a bunch of the little blood mirror for defense purposes, and then just spreading a ton of slash effects that will just melt enemies. So you can actually kill things with just Garuda. With this kit, you can kill things with her weapons. Dealer's choice. It's all effective. It's all great. That's pretty much it. She is super easy to play in just about any regard. She's got a decently high health. It's not as high as Wukong. It's not as high as Lavos, but and it's certainly not as high as Inaros, but nobody's is. But it's enough to where the adaptation plus the high armor means that she's gonna survive pretty much everything, and especially if you have Gloom up and you're remembering to keep things slowed and you're remembering to keep your health high with your damage boost. She's just a joy to play. So hopefully you learned something. And if you didn't learn anything, maybe you still had fun. Maybe you got some ideas for your own builds. And with that being said, stay safe, have fun. We love you all. We'll catch you on the next one.